At the age of 12, I refused to talk to strangers. At the age of 13, I would physically shake when I had to speak in front of the class. At the age of 14, when I went to an all-girls school, I literally could not look a boy in the eyes. At the age of 16, I was too scared to take the train alone. At the age of 17, I'd still never had a love life, and that scared me. At the age of 18, I was too scared to make phone calls. Just kidding, I'm still working on that one. And yet somehow here I am at age 21. And in the last 2 years, I have solo traveled around Europe. I've bungee jumped, I've skydived, I lived alone in France to learn French, I studied in Korea. I published a book, I've had businessy conversations, I changed my style, and most proudly, I can take the tube alone in London. Today we're going to dig into comfort zones, what they are, the science behind comfort zones, how I expanded mine, and why you should too. Hey there guys, and welcome back to UnJaded Jade. Welcome to a series I have been planning for so long. This is the Summer of Self. Summer of Self. This name was voted on by the lovely people on Instagram, and I think it perfectly captures what this series is about. For me, summer is the time that I reset, I remind myself what's important, I refocus before going back to university. Honestly, this series is for both of us. We're gonna cover loads of different topics about expanding into the best version of ourselves and using this summer to set that up. I also think there's a huge stigma around focusing on yourself as being self-centered, narcissistic, big-headed, when in reality, people who say that are probably just insecure about you growing into your confidence. And I think focusing on yourself is the biggest act of self-love and power. So we're gonna step into our power this summer. A few rules for this series. You need a cute drink. I'm very out of my comfort zone right now because it is 32 degrees and I decided to go for hot tea, but it's good. And every episode will end with a journal prompt and deep questions. This is for both you and me to reflect on, and if you take the time to do this, I think you'll get the most out of this series. So what is a comfort zone? We often see those words in motivational quotes plastered on a beautiful sunset, when in reality, a comfort zone is actually a scientifically proven thing in the field of psychology. It's basically activities and behaviors which form a consistent routine. That is it. This routine or this pattern is something we like because it minimizes stress. We get used to the things that become part of our routine. We love minimizing stress. Who doesn't? It makes us feel secure, it makes us feel chilled, you're happy, you're low anxiety, you know what to expect. Your comfort zone is everything from the person you're in a relationship with and the dynamic that you have, the kind of clothes that you wear every day, your daily routine, the things that you eat, the activities that you like doing and where you go to do them and the time that you do them at. It's the people you interact with, how you interact with them, all of that forms part of your comfort zone and what you feel comfortable doing, and it can grow. In 1908, two psychologists, Robert Yerkes and John Dodson, showed that a relative level of comfort is good for stabilizing your performance. It's good for staying the same. Inside your comfort zone, you plateau, which is fun and nice, but you just don't get growth. They found that in order to maximize performance, in order for someone to grow, you have to have something called optimal anxiety. The idea is you expose yourself to just enough stress that you grow, you change, you learn. It's not too much, you're not overwhelmed, but you are uncomfortable, but in a good, productive way. Here we have my hairband. It's just chilling in its unstretched comfort zone. It can expand, but it's not, it's just staying like this. But if I want it to give me its best performance in order to tie back my insane mane, it has to be stretched to what it's capable of. It's optimal anxiety. Definitely has to stretch. But if I stretch it too far, it'll snap because my curls are just too stressful for it, which happens a lot. This is the same for you and comfort zones. A little bit of stretching, amazing. Too much stretching, you snap. That is the mindset around how you should expand your comfort zone. Lots of baby steps to slowly stretch and just live into your potential and see what you're capable of. Which sounds easy, but it's not. At all. I am someone who overthinks everything, every little detail. Like, I replay conversations in my head. Sometimes I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say before I say it. Like right now, I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say to the cashier in the shop. I'm thinking about the car park I'm gonna go to before I've even set off. So I just won't set off because I'm worried I won't find a car park space. So because of this overthinking nature, my comfort zone used to be very small. but it got better. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 things in my journey to increase my comfort zone. And I'm going to talk about one thing I'm actively working on right now. The first is public speaking. I was very well known among my friends for shaking, like my hands would shake and my legs would shake when I was in front of the class, when I was talking in front of anyone, especially if I was holding a piece of paper and was reading it. I would just do this. And I hated it. I just hated that I did that. I hated that it had so much power over me, this fear. So I knew I needed to work on it, even if I really didn't want to. Rather than waiting to speak in front of 1,000 people, which honestly would be like my elastic band snapping, I did 2 things, which I did consistently. I joined a drama club, so I started getting practice speaking in front of people, but under different roles. And secondly, I signed up for almost every school assembly that I could. If it was a languages day and they needed students to say one line in assembly, I would do it. I would stand on stage in front of 100 students and I would shake. Predictably, I'd be reading my 1 sentence shaking, but I did it. And every time I did it, it got slightly easier. Not really, but like a little bit. And I was proud because over time my hands shook a little bit less. I was able to not just look at my piece of paper, but occasionally look at all the faces staring at me. My comfort zone didn't expand by magic. It was like a muscle that I just slowly trained and eventually it got a little bit better. I'm not a master public speaker now, but I'm a lot better. That constant mini exposure to fear. Second one, this is embarrassing. Social conversations with boys. I went to an all-girls school at secondary school and I don't know if anyone relates to that, but I just didn't really have friends who were guys when I was like 14, 15. So I just became a bit like socially isolated and thought that boys of that age, like the exact same age of me, were somehow different. I felt like I didn't understand their humor. They felt like a foreign species, but I hated that I was so rubbish at it. So I was like, right, Jade, we need more friends. This was one of the reasons that I started volunteering at a disability charity and at my local stables. Suddenly, there were boys my age, and the first few times I went were scary and embarrassing and I avoided social interaction and just did the job. But slowly, I got better at it, as we all do. The fear dissipated, I realized it was okay. The boys are, you know, they're okay, they're human too, and now I'm fine. Number 3, doing things alone. I wasn't raised in a city, and I feel like people who are have a huge advantage on independence in general. Like everything is so much more accessible, but here, no. And my mum is the cutest human ever and would just help me a lot. So I didn't get super independent doing things, but I craved this idea of independence. So I slowly expanded my comfort zone. Very small steps. Firstly, I took the bus with friends to school. Sounds silly, but you know, me walking myself to the bus stop every morning, that was a tiny slice of doing something alone. I got a train to a nearby town just to meet a friend and I survived, I was okay. I got a bike and that was a little bit of independence because suddenly I could cycle round the field or by the river on my own. And it really helped me when I got a dog because it reduced my fear of walking alone. And then I got work experience in London and all of a sudden I had to get the train every single Saturday into London alone. And that was a huge thing for me because it was the first time ever that I had to navigate the tube on my own. The first time I went to the wrong platform, I got lost, I took a train in the wrong direction and I ended up getting to my work experience late, which is honestly the most tragic start to me trying to move up in the world and adult. But I did it and I got better at it. And through all these tiny consistent steps, each one of which was really scary at the time, I'm now at a point where I went solo traveling, or during university, you know, like I can get on a plane and fly, I feel like almost anywhere, and I will just work it out. If I get lost somewhere, I know I'll be okay in the end because I trust myself. But I would not be at this point if it wasn't for slowly building that up. Number 4, new cultures, new foods, and trying new things and different ways of life. It is out of our comfort zones to change our routines in any way. Again, with all the foods that I once didn't like, I somehow have like taught myself to like them. And it's true, you can make yourself like almost any food slowly over time. And I feel the same way about different lifestyles or learning about other cultures, because at the end of the day, everything, everyone, it's different. Nothing's necessarily better or worse than anything. When you go to a new place and you feel overwhelmed, it's not because that place is bad, it's just because it's different. For example, if you are someone who could never imagine living abroad because that's terrifying to you, take tiny baby steps towards thinking about living in that place. So for example, say you wanted to move to Berlin, which I highly recommend, it's a wonderful city. A small step going out of your current comfort zone is to start learning German. You're getting your brain in that mindset of, okay, what if I was in Berlin? Try new foods, practice navigating cities here that you're more comfortable with. Try practicing making friends here. And if you've got that skill of navigating a city, that skill of making new friends, that skill of learning a new language, then when you do eventually move somewhere new, because you've developed those skills in a more comfortable way, your comfort zone has already expanded and now you're just challenging it a little bit more again by being in this new place. That is something that has really helped me because I'm very lucky to say I've lived in quite a few countries in the last few years since I've left school. Places which are very different culturally, food-wise, lifestyle-wise, everything to what I'm used to. And it's allowed me to really embrace those cultures. And right now, what am I doing that is so out of my comfort zone is I am driving more. I hate driving. I passed my test 3 years ago. I haven't driven since. Even though I passed doesn't mean I'm good. Surprisingly, I didn't get a single minor or major on my test, but I feel like that's just because I'm like a fake it till you make it person. If it's a test, I'll try my best, but I'm just not confident. The idea of parking terrifies me, the idea of being on a road terrifies me, the idea of coming to a roundabout, being on a motorway, blah, 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 all scares me. But I don't like that it has so much power over me. So this summer, one of my goals has been to get better at driving, and I've forced my parents to just come out with me at least a few times a week. And recently I drove myself all the way to Brighton, which is the longest trip I've done in so long. And it was terrifying, but it gave me a lot of confidence in the end. My driving comfort zone has expanded for sure, and it's only getting better. So overall, why should you try and expand your comfort zone? Why not sit where you're comfortable? Firstly, it will be a lot easier to deal with new situations, to adapt to them, to challenge yourself and be okay. Secondly, I think it makes you trust yourself more because you know that you are capable of it, even if it's challenging. You think to yourself, well, I've done this before when that thing was really tough and it worked out okay in the end. And thirdly, because you can reach your full potential as a human. Growth mindset. No one is born naturally good at everything, at traveling everywhere, at driving, of doing this, that. You learn those things, you get better at them through trying them. So yeah, I dare you to go out of your comfort zone a little bit. I do also want to say that going back into your comfort zone is really important if you are consistently challenging yourself. You have to come back to process these experiences. I found that at university it's so tough, so much newness, so much going out of my comfort zone that it's like I feel like I'm being challenged every day. And if I don't have this summer period of coming back to somewhere where I feel really comfortable, I would just burn out. So today's Summer of Self journal prompts for you. Ask yourself these questions. What scares you? What about it scares you? What is one thing you can do this week to feel less scared about that thing? If you don't work on this fear, what will your life look like in 5 to 10 years? And if you do slowly work on that fear, how could it look in 5 to 10 years? For example, are you giving a TED talk? Are you driving your friends around? Are you solo traveling and having incredible experiences? Do it for yourself. Expand your comfort zone for yourself and for your future self. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to the Summer of Self. I hope you liked this first episode. Comment down below, what do you want to see in this series? Videos will be going live every Saturday at 12 PM. And that's the T, the positivity. Oh, my casual magic for today is most definitely the sun and how it scatters little rainbows around my room. It's so beautiful. Oh, and if you made it to this point in the video, hi, I think we are besties. Leave me a little sun emoji and I'm gonna give you some love. Bye.